Recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, colleagues and Nebraskans. I regret to say I'm going to stand up as a very firm no on this amendment from Senator Lonowski. And it's not quite right that it came out of committee without opposition because they didn't hold the vote open for me, so I didn't have the chance to vote no on this bill out of committee. But, you know, I have no doubt that Tom Osborne is a popular guy who will, in time, be in the Nebraska Hall of Fame. But my opposition to this bill is that we are creating special legislation, which is unconstitutional in Nebraska. And I think that the stars in our eyes and our admiration for this man is kind of blinding us to the fact that under our Constitution, we cannot actually do this. Under Article 3, Section 18 of the Nebraska Constitution, the legislature is prohibited from passing special legislation that grants exclusive privileges to different groups or associations or corporations or individuals, and that's exactly what this bill under AM 2405 would do. The Constitution reads, Article 3, Section 18, local or special laws prohibited. The legislature shall not pass local or special laws in any of the following cases, that is to say, then there's a long list of examples that you can read, and it goes on to say, granting to any corporation, association, or individual any special or exclusive privileges, immunity, or franchise whatsoever, provided that notwithstanding any other provisions of the Constitution, the legislature shall have the authority to separately define and classify, So basically it's saying if it's a law that only applies to one person, it's not constitutional according to the rules that we have in the state of Nebraska. It makes my skin crawl a little bit to have a bill come into committee that's literally written and created for one person. As much of an honor that we'd like to give somebody, I think that there are many ways to do that, and Tom Osborne has received these laudations throughout his life, and this is one more that we will be changing the law and ignoring the Constitution to add to the pile. And I think it's a shame. I think it sort of tarnishes the honor that would be bestowed upon him, unfortunately. And I'm sorry that I was not able to be in the executive session of this committee to make this argument. I have no doubt that it will advance, but I didn't want the record to reflect that there was no opposition, because that's not the case. And I also wanted someone to explain why this is special legislation and why that's unconstitutional in our state. Thank you, Mr. President.
Recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to say one thing. I'm going to rise in support of AM 2428, and I'm going to help Senator Lonowski by correcting what he said on the last motion that we had up on his bill, which I'm glad he withdrew. When I missed the executive session and I didn't vote on his bill, it's because I was introducing my last bill in the legislature. I was in another committee introducing a bill. I don't make the committee schedule. I don't set the hearing schedules. I don't set the exec board schedules, and I don't introduce unconstitutional bills. And he used his time to take a shot at me, saying, now I'm getting criticism from people who don't show up to meetings. First of all, it's none of his business where I was. Second of all, I was doing my job in a committee. It used to be that when you were, especially if you were in another committee doing your work here, they would hold the vote open for you. Or they would try to schedule meetings when people didn't have bills up or whatever. But for him to say that to me was so impolite. I asked him to apologize to me, and he said he apologized for me. I have nothing to apologize for. But you are not polite, Senator Lonowski, and you are not a gentleman. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Anderson, you're recognized to speak.